Hello! Merry Christmas. This is the Christmas Eve sermon. Our little church is gathered together at 2 o'clock on Christmas Eve, and then we're going to shut things down and just enjoy the festivities with our families. The reading today is found in, the reading that we're using for the sermon is found in Isaiah chapter 9, 2 through 7. I've got to read it. For those of you who know Handel's Messiah, you'll pick up some of the quotes from here. Isaiah says, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of deep darkness, on them light has shined. You have multiplied the nation. You have increased its joy. These rejoice before you as with joy at the harvest, as people exalt the dividing plunder. For the yoke of their burden and the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor, you have broken, as on the day of Midian. For all the boots of the tramping warriors and all the garments rolled in blood shall be burned as fuel for the fire. For a child has been born for us, a son given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders, and he is named Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His authority shall grow continually, and there shall be endless peace for the throne of David and his kingdom. He will establish and uphold it with justice and with righteousness for this time onward and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this." Thursday, I participated in my company's Christmas dinner for those on the south side of Edmonton, the old Strathcona neighborhood. So this was for the people who were living on the streets, for the people who were living in emergency shelters, and for the people who were in supportive housing. Gathered all together for Christmas meal. I played Santa, and I marched out after our big turkey dinner and ham dinner and all the fixings, and we sang Christmas carols, and the whole place was all lit up and decorated. And I came out of Santa, ho, ho, ho. And folks were standing with me to get their Christmas present. Strathcona Senior Society, through the help of Holy Trinity Anglican Church, had done goodie bags full of all sorts of good stuff, like hand-knitted mittens and scarves and hats and a soap and toothpaste and toothbrush and essential things that people needed. And so anyway, as I'm getting these goodie bags out, I asked a worker friend of mine to take a picture of me, and then everyone wanted a picture with Santa. And I said, "Well, you don't have a camera." They said, No. We don't even want the picture. We just want a picture with Santa. We want the experience of being with Santa." And so, okay. And so I'm Santa and I'm taking pictures. And I remember one friend looked at me after the picture and he said, "This is great. This is thankful. We get Christmas this year." And that felt both very joyful and very sad to me. Christmas, a thing that we're worried about, we're stressed about. We want to get just right. For some, they didn't feel like they were going to get it this year. Unless it was given to them. Unless it was shared with them. They wouldn't get Christmas. And we talk about Christmas. What do we mean by that? Is it just the carols? Is it just the Santa Claus? Or is it, as my friend was describing, the whole experience, the whole thing, the whole feeling? And if so, what is that? I'm going to give you a definition that's rather incomplete and needing more help and more theology, and it's going to bother everyone who wants everything in a neat little package and present with a bow on top. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you a metaphor of what Christmas is based on the prophet who was writing in Isaiah. Here is the metaphor, is that Christmas is God's light invading into our darkness. Now, the writer of Isaiah is writing to a group of people that are soon going to be turned into slaves for other kingdoms, other nations, and they're going to be suffering greatly. And it's going to be all their fault. By the way, it's all their fault. That's terrible, awful. He's trying to give them, he or she is trying to give them some hope, looking in the future. And so they layer a bunch of metaphors to say, don't worry, this will pass. We'll be back in Israel. And then in Israel, unto us a child will be born. That's going to make everything right. But then it's not specific on what Jesus is going to do. Jesus isn't even named. It's just these metaphors. And it's difficult because the writer is trying to describe something that they may not even know themselves. They know they need it. They know they want it, but they don't know what exactly it is. Have you ever gone through a moment in your life where you have a friend or a family member and you want the best for them, but you just don't know what the best is, what they need exactly? So when you're praying for them, you do what I call Jesus prayers. Oh God, this person may need this, but I don't know if they need this. They may need that. I don't know if they need that. I don't know. Oh, they're sick. They need healing, but do they really need healing? Or is it your plan for them to be sick? But I don't want to pray for them to keep on being sick. So that's mean. So I don't know what to do. This person needs a job. But is this job the best job they could have? I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. So Jesus, just Jesus, Jesus, help. You're in that place where you don't know. And the writer in Isaiah is dreaming about Jesus, but isn't clear on how Jesus is going to break the rods of the oppressor, burn the boots and uniforms of those who have hurt us, have authority, be a wonderful counselor, a mighty God, a father, Prince of Peace. But they're using metaphors in their world, in their language, to say in the future, Jesus is coming and it's going to be all right. It's going to be good. And it's going to start getting better and better and better and more amazing. Just you wait. And these metaphors are amazing because a prophet who is facing exile isn't giving much other than God is going to do something good. He's giving Israel, he or she, I should say, because we don't know who this prophet is. This writer in Isaiah is giving Israel a foretaste of the kingdom of God. Now, I've been asked by my company, what is evangelism? Is evangelism where you put your arm around someone, says, let me tell you about Jesus, and in 20 minutes, someone says, I want to be a Christian because of your words. You've made me a Christian. So they sign something, they declare something, put their hand on their Bible, they do something and says, I am now a Christian. And evangelism is doing that enough times where we have numbers. And, this month, 7 people became Christian. Last month, only 3 people. What did I do wrong? Last month, it was only 3 and 7. And you start counting in numbers. Is that evangelism? No, I'm going to say no. The Bible never, ever, ever describes it that way. Honestly, no. What is it? I would argue it is being a foretaste of the kingdom of God. A foretaste. That the kingdom of God was coming to the people of Israel in the times of Isaiah. And then Christ did come for Christmas. Christ will come again, and we're somewhere in the middle there where the kingdom of God is now, is here, and we can enter it. What does that look like? Well, who's ever been to Bourbon Street? It's in the food court of West Edmonton Mall, my favorite place in the food court. And whenever I'm walking by, the workers there are vigilant, persistent, and consistent. They will oftentimes have a handful of toothpicks. They'll spear a piece of meat and says, sample, and they'll give it to you. And the belief is that if you try one of their chickens, you will abandon all dreams of hot dogs, pizza, and hamburgers and go to the Bourbon Street and get a full meal from them. It actually works. It is effective. I'm a sucker for it. It happens. And so I'll be with my kids and then they'll give me a sample of their food, and I'll say, I'm sorry, I want number 3, I want this and that, and then here's your money. My money is your money now, and they're giving us a foretaste of their meal. I believe when we have parties in the church, when we include a stranger, when we help a neighbor, when we feed the hungry, when we listen to the lonely, these actions, these create moments. These moments are foretastes of the kingdom of God. And the kingdom of God is what it looks like when we follow Christ as King. So there's this a marvelous, amazing reality of the kingdom of God that our world does not understand unless people create foretastes, moments where people say, I guess God is the God who parties. I guess God is the God who includes a stranger. I guess God is the God who helps a neighbor, who feeds the hungry, who listens to the lonely. I guess God, this is what our God is like. And when we act like that God, we create foretastes of that kingdom. When we share theology, when we share the teachings of Jesus, then we give foretastes of that kingdom of God. And the light of Christ, as we partner with him, comes more and more into our world. And that these metaphors that the writer of Isaiah is giving are foretastes, hints that this is what God does, and Christmas is coming. And we are saying Christmas is here because the kingdom of God is here, Christ the King whom we follow. This is what Christmas is all about, the great light coming. That is the beginning of this passage. See, when we don't know what exactly we want or need from God, we then can pray for his light. And that's the best place to start. Last week was the shortest day of the year. Our sun went down at 4:15 and got up at about 8:10, 8:15 here in Edmonton. I've been in northern Alberta in High Prairie where it was a significantly shorter of a 3:30 sunset and a 9:45 sunrise. That's the shortest day. We lose a little bit of sunlight every day up until December 21st. And that's the shortest day. One of my favorite TV shows that's based upon a Time Lord from Gallifrey described this day, the shortest day of the year, the solstice, as halfway through the dark. That it just gets darker and darker and darker and darker, and then the 21st, and it gets lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter. The days get longer. The sunlight comes in more and more. You're able to do more, and the darkness shrinks away and shrivels up. Christmas is about light invading our darkness. And what is our darkness? It's sin, it's evil, it's loneliness, it's despair, it's wrath. It's all of the things that just suck away and destroy us. And the light is Christ the King. Christ the King, his kingdom coming, his kingdom here. Christ the King. And we are then praying for the light to come in our own lives where we have darkness. Christ's light come into the darkness of our families, our neighborhoods, our city, our world. We ask for the light of Christ to come. And we savor in the light's beauty. And the light comes the more and more we do actions and events and teachings and sharings and partying and relationships that are foretastes of the kingdom of God. When I was a kid, I was 10 years old, and I remember my dad telling my mom that he didn't have time to bring down the Christmas tree from it was in storage in our house's attic. He says, it's going to happen maybe Christmas Eve. I'm just too busy at work. My mom was really, really sad and angry by this, and I picked this up. And so as a 10-year-old, I climbed the ladder up to the attic, got all the boxes, brought it down, and I started, without her permission, assembling the Christmas tree, and it made her cry. I remember my mom just crying out of joy, out of happiness. And me and my mom then put together the Christmas tree, and by that time, the sun went down and it was dark, and so we flipped on the lights. And then my mom says, let's do this. Let's do this for fun for tonight. Let's not watch TV. Let's watch the Christmas tree. So all the lights in the house were dark, and my family had this shows you how old I am, a reel-to-reel tape player. Not a cassette player. It was before that, with the spool and and so we had that, and my mom had a reel of the soundtrack to Lawrence of Arabia. So we're playing Lawrence of Arabia, and we're sitting and we're watching the Christmas tree. And I remember spending, just as a very active and very hyperactive 10-year-old, I was planted staring at the light, all the Christmas lights, invading the darkness of the house. The glittering ones, the multicolored ones, everything just kind of flooded, and it was this invasion. It was beautiful. And that's what we're doing with Christmas. We're studying the beauty of Christ's light coming into our darkness and filling it full of light. What does that look like? We're not sure exactly. We're arrested by the mystery of how that works and what happens, but it is here. And so on that end, Merry Christmas.